Hey traders, it's John Fortune here of this week's Weekly Forex Forecast for the 8th of June to the 12th of June 2020. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index and crude oil before running through a number of markets, looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. I'm also going to be highlighting some of the targets that we're going to be looking for in this coming week and also for the weeks ahead. So I hope you're having a nice weekend. Let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, we're going to start off by looking at the US dollar index. Now, last week we broke to the downside in the dollar index. We started the week here and we came all the way down to the downside target we had at the 96.69, which was right here. And this move to the downside was, as I say, a breakout of this large corrective pattern we've had in the dollar index, going back to that explosive move to the upside when the stock market crashed. So very simply put, going into this week, we are looking for further declines to the downside in the dollar index. Any pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity to start to look for further declines down towards the next key of support to the downside and the target set at the 95.71. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key of support to the downside and target 2 at the 94.65. Now, of course, we will not be looking to trade the US dollar index next week. However, this does give us a bearish bias going into next week. And when looking through the dollar pairs, what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be favoring dollar bearish positions next week in the markets. So the next market we're going to look at is crude oil. Now, last week we were looking further advances to the upside and we started the week in this area. We did take out the target set from last week, the first target at the 32.84, and we broke through it, making the way towards the second target set at the 40.93. So very simply put, there is pretty much nothing but air between here and the 40.93 because of the big sell-off we had recently. So we are going to be favouring long positions in this market next week. What we would like to see, because we are right at the top of the move, we're still trending here, is any pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups, so bullish breakouts to the upside. And if we get this kind of price action going into next week, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance to the upside and the target set at the 40.93. So next market we're going to look at is euro dollar. Now, last week we were looking further advances to the upside in this market, and we had a big rally to the upside last week, taking out both targets at the 1.1148 and also the second target at the 1.1256, which was right here. Very simply put, going into this week, we are still looking for further advances to the upside, and any pullback in this area towards broken resistance from the past, looking to turn support at the 1.11470. Any pullback in this area is going to be viewed next week as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance to the upside and the target set at the 1.1495. So next market we're going to look at is pound dollar. Now, last week we had a break to the upside in pound dollar and we stopped pretty much at the target of the 1.26420, which was right here. Going into this week, we are still looking for further advances to the upside in this market. We're approaching the next key of resistance to the upside. So what we'd really like to see is any pullback in this area, because we're right at the top of the trend here, any pullback in this area is going to provide us with an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups in this market next week. And if we get the right kind of setups in this area, if we start to see some bullish reversal patterns, we get a nice retracement, we start to break out of this to the upside, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance to the upside and the target set with 1.2848. So the next market we're going to look at is US dollar Japanese yen. Now, last week we were looking further advances to the upside in this market, and we did take out both targets to the upside at the 108.20 and also at the 109.20, which was right here. Now, although we are looking primarily for dollar weakness next week, we do still favour long positions in this market, despite the fact this would be US dollar strength, because even though the US dollar is weak, it is relatively stronger than the yen. Why? Because money at this present time is flowing out of less risky assets like the dollar, like the yen, like gold, so safe haven assets, and it's flowing into riskier assets like the euro, like the pound, like the stock market. And during times of panic, you will see the yen outperform the dollar. So when there is a risk-off mentality and money flows into these safe havens, it flows into the yen more so than the dollar, so the yen outperforms the dollar. And we're just basically seeing a reverse of that now. So as money is coming out of the safe haven assets, it's coming out of the yen at a faster rate than it is the dollar, and therefore we're seeing the dollar appreciate against the yen. So we do favour dollar weakness positions next week. However, if we're looking to trade this market next week, we will favour long positions because of that. So any pullback in this area is going to be viewed next week as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance, the upside and the target set at the 110.73. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key of resistance, the upside and target 2 at the 111.69. So the next market we're going to look at is Aussie dollar. Now last week we started the week down in this area and we were looking for advances to the upside. We smashed through the target to the upside at 0.68140, which was around here last week, and we started to push towards the next key of resistance at 0.7032. The slight problem after this really nice rally to the upside last week is that we are approaching a very significant resistance area at the 0.70320. So in order to go long in this market, what we would like to see before we take this out is any pullback in this area is going to be required in order to give us good risk reward setups towards the target. Any pullback in this area is going to be viewed next week as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups. And we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance, the upside of the target set at the 0.7032. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key of resistance, the upside and target 2 at the 0.7132. So the next market we're going to look at is New Zealand dollar. Now last week we were looking for further advances to the upside in this market and we did take out both targets set to the upside. We are coming very close now to the next key of resistance at the 0.65780. So very similar to the Aussie dollar. In order to trade to this target, what we would like to see first of all is we need to see a pullback, and any pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity to start to look for bullish setups. And if we get this right kind of setup here, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key of resistance, the upside and the target set at the 0.6578. So the next market we're going to look at is US dollar Swiss franc. Now last week we were looking further declines to the downside and we did take out the target set at the 0.9589, which was right here, and we sort of tried to break through it. We had a false breakout below this target last week and we traded to the upside as the week finished. Very simply put, going into this week we are now still looking further declines to the downside in this market. Any pullback in this area therefore is going to be viewed as an opportunity next week to start to look for bearish setups. And if we get the right kind of bearish setups in this market, if we can get a nice pullback and we start to see some bearish reversal patterns in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and the target set, the 0.9503. And if we can get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key of support to the downside and target 2, the 0.9404. So the next market we're going to look at is US dollar CAD. Now last week we started the week in this area and we were looking for a move to the downside to the 1.3466, which was right here. And you can see we did come down, we took out this target set from last week and we finished the week right by the target. So very simply put, going into this week, we are still looking for further declines to the downside. We favor short setups in this market. What we would like to see first of all, as with a number of these markets, is any pullback in this area is going to give us better risk to reward on our setups, and any pullback in this area is going to be viewed as an opportunity next week to start to look for bearish setups. And if we get the right kind of bearish setups in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and target set at the 1.3282. And last but not least, we have gold. Now last week we actually reversed to the downside in gold. We broke below the key of support and we actually reversed to the downside. This was despite a weakening of the dollar. So again, just as we spoke about earlier in the video, we're seeing these safe haven assets relatively playing off against each other, and the dollar is actually relatively outperforming both gold and the Japanese yen despite the fact it's weakening. So very simply put, going into this week, just because in the same way we're looking for moves to the upside in dollar yen, we would favor short positions in gold as we're seeing money flow out of the safe haven assets despite the fact we have a weak dollar. So any pullback in this market is going to be viewed by us as an opportunity next week to start to look for bearish setups. And if we get the right kind of bearish setups in this market, we're going to be looking at initiating shorts down towards the next key of support to the downside and the target set at the 1637.81. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to everybody who does that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel so far. I want to wish you all a fantastic weekend, and I want to wish you all the best in your trading next week. The only thing left to say is take care and don't forget to trade safely.